These men and women are survivors. Escaping violent persecution in Burma, they have fled to crammed camps in remote southeastern Bangladesh. We are here covertly. They are Rohingyas, a people condemned to a life of suffering and injustice. September 18th, 2012, in the suburbs of Rangoon. Prominent political dissidents gather for a solemn commemoration, the 5th anniversary of the Saffron Revolution, the monk-led uprising that was brutally suppressed by the military. But the heroes of Burma's pro-democracy struggle have a new enemy now, an entire ethnic group. According to the United Nations, the Rohingya Muslims are one of the world's most persecuted minorities. They are the central victims of a bitter sectarian conflict that has been raging in Arakan state for months, and the racial hatred is spreading.
We don't like Rohingyas. They are just immigrants, foreigners. They have no place in Arakan. They are not Burmese.
And you, what do you think of the Rohingya?
They're liars. They started it all. They attacked Buddhists, and now they want to pass for martyrs. There's only one solution: they must leave.
Communal violence broke out in June. It has extended throughout Burma's northwest, pitting Buddhist against Muslim, leaving tens of thousands of people displaced. Contempt for the Rohingya is almost universal in majority Buddhist Burma, permeating all walks of life. Even U Win Tin, a former political prisoner and close ally of democracy icon Aung San Suu Kyi, is no exception.
They speak the different language, and they are racially different people, and the different facial expressions, so everything. And they have the different religion. So we have to put Rohingyas in some sort of camp and so on, in the location. They must be separated. Otherwise, of course, there will be another, cover-up of this hostilities among them, you see.
Burma is just emerging from decades of military rule, and recent reforms include new press freedoms. But in many cases, national media has in fact helped fuel anti-Rohingya sentiment, including the influential media group 11, seen as a symbol of progress and the future of Burmese journalism.
The foreign media hacks ran a story on that the community violence broke out because the Buddhist monks killed the Bengalis, 10 Bengali on the backs. But they didn't say why it happened. Because before that situation, there was an incident that 3 Bengali raped the Arakan girl. The Bengali burned her house by themselves and they ran away because they want the fire, separate to the house of the Arakan.
This is what remains of one of Arakan's main cities. This amateur footage offers a glimpse into Burma's far northwest, an area under strict curfew and closed to the outside world. But what really happened, and where are the families that used to live here? There is talk of starvation, murder, rape. Hundreds, maybe thousands dead or missing, an entire community uprooted. We are traveling to the southernmost reaches of Bangladesh, where the Naf River empties into the Bay of Bengal, forming the natural border with Burma. Across the river is Arakan state. Many Rohingya have sought refuge here, adding to the tens of thousands who have fled across the border over the years. But nobody wants them. The Rohingya number over 1 million. All are stateless, with no land to call their own, and little hope for the future. Jamal is part of an underground Rohingya network. According to him, Burmese and Bangladeshi security forces are trying to prevent a mass exodus.
Chweza, Hayanghali, and other village tract under Mangdo Township also impose restriction from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in Arakan state. No villager cannot move one house to another house. Many Rohingya Muslim people are starving there. There is no food, no essential medical assistance there.
The border is totally sealed. The Burmese want to ensure testimonies of the Rohingya don't get out. Bangladesh is determined to push back any refugees. But Jamal and his network are helping some to get across. We meet a family that has just made it to Bangladesh.
We have nothing left to eat on the other side. There's a curfew, but only for us. We can't go out. Everyone is scared and trying to flee. There's too much violence in Burma. God help us.
This woman and her 3 children have escaped persecution in Burma, but the treatment they receive in Bangladesh is unlikely to be much better.
The Rohingyas are like a disease. They come by the hundreds. They steal our jobs. We don't want them here.
Over 200,000 stateless Rohingya live in squalid conditions in and around refugee camps in eastern Bangladesh. The camps are off limits to foreigners, but with the help of local activists, we try to get in. We set off at dawn, on foot. We sneak through paddy fields to avoid being seen, avoiding Bangladeshi army checkpoints. Behind this mountain are thousands of men, women, and children. All are Rohingya. Officially, they do not exist. This camp is illegal and temporary. But for the survivors who have made it this far, it's a sanctuary at the end of a torturous journey.
I've been struggling to survive for a month. I fled my village to hide in the jungle, and I finally crossed the border, but half of my family was killed. The army and police were responsible.
Soon, we are escorted through the camp. Away from view, in a hut, we collect the testimonies of recent arrivals.
They arrested my husband. I wanted to protect him, so they tried to rape me. They broke my arm.
Among the traumatized population, a disturbing number of families are without men or husbands.
My husband was taken away by security forces. I don't know if he's alive or not. I've heard no news since.
Gradually, more and more people arrive, all eager to tell their story of hardship.
They closed all our mosques, we can't pray. We have no more rice, we can't even light a fire. Everything is forbidden to us.
The small hut is besieged. The refugees want the world to know their plight.
Our ancestors built our mosques and villages with their own hands more than 300 years ago. Now it's all destroyed. I'm asking the international community to help us. We need help to fight back.
But what's really going on? How can a country engaged in a major process of democratization, opening itself to the world, at the same time pursue such bitter violence and segregation? Burma has always been an ethnic and religious mosaic. Coexistence has not been without its troubles, but debate has never been taboo. Today, in the Muslim quarter of Rangoon, there is one subject that is totally forbidden: the Rohingya.
No, sir. I've been interested in the political matter.
But it's not political. They are Muslims like you, no?
Yeah, same brother, but what can I say to you?
We all know the government is behind it. It's too dangerous to talk.
Reactions are similar to those experienced when trying to talk about politics during the not-so-distant days of absolute dictatorship. Prudent and embarrassed silences. Suddenly, a man from the crowd beckons us to follow him.
Okay, come. Not far.
We can't talk in the street. Come with me.
It soon becomes clear. The young man is a member of a clandestine Rohingya organization.
The message must come out of Burma. You are going to help make the truth known to the outside world. The international community must know what is happening in Arakan right now.
He leads us through the city to one of his leaders, whose identity must be protected.
These Rohingya people, settlement is a homeland within the territories of Burma before 1823. So that's why they are the indigenous races of this country. Actually, this is ethnic complex. Somebody created politically.
Can you explain what you mean by somebody?
I can explain somebody means some racist people and some local authorities are created this ethnic complex.
The Rohingya are descendants of Arab traders who came to Asia more than 1,000 years ago. They have lived in what is modern-day Burma for centuries. But in 1982, the military regime passed a law on nationality that rendered the Rohingya stateless and without the most basic of rights: property, marriage, education. This Rohingya family has been living in Rangoon for 25 years. Nervous, the father's first reaction is to prove his identification papers are in order. The only way to survive here is for them to try to conceal their ethnicity, become Burmanized.
The news we've got from our relatives in Arakan is terrifying. They're trapped, they can't move. Not inside Arakan or to escape from it. As for us, it's exactly the same situation. If we try to go there to check what's going on, we won't ever be able to come back to Rangoon. It's hopeless.
The people who stand up to this situation are almost as rare as those who oppose the military in the darkest days of dictatorship. But there are some. Like prominent dissident U Gambira, now alienated from his friends in the pro-democracy movement for defending the Rohingyas. Even the iconic Aung San Suu Kyi has chosen to stay silent on the subject.
It is clear that the government is behind all this violence. As usual, the authorities divide and conquer. This is a strategy of power to contain our new democracy. The problem is that it's a trick against the political opposition too, because they are in the parliament now, and this gives legitimacy for the state's ethnic cleansing.
Alienated by blind hatred, indifference or silence, the Rohingya are one of the world's most persecuted minorities. And until that changes, their children will continue to be born with no land, no future, and no hope.